breaking. And he hung in there. And at the 12th month, he comes into his guru and he says, I want another year. And Lama Siridas says it was the turning point of his existence. When he saw that he could come back from such difficult emotional times, that his attitude would be awesome. There's nothing else that he needs to do. Isn't that incredible? And that's what I'm saying, going in to that discomfort. Who else has a reason, a block? What's another block?
Shame.
Shame. Okay, shame and guilt. Oh my God, you want to talk about two of the most debilitating emotions that we have, but both of them can be taken care of. That's the good news, okay? Doesn't matter what we've done, what we've experienced, it doesn't matter, no matter how deep. You know, probably one of the most difficult clients that I ever worked with was a woman who was raped and left for dead. And, you know, there's all kinds of victimizing the victim that goes on, you know, and she went through all kinds of victimization at the end of it, and she did survive. She became agoraphobic. She didn't leave her house for 8 years, heavily on so much medication. The first day she made it into my office, I didn't even know what was sitting in front of me. I mean, she was so heavily medicated that she was still shaking, even with this outrageous amount of drugs in her body. Like, I'm going, oh my God. And then when I shared with her what we had to do in order for her to release that experience, it was like, I don't know if I can do that. I said, I know. Everyone says the same thing, you know? There probably wasn't someone with a worse attitude, justifiably so, to some extent. You're raped and left for dead, for God's sake, right? It took 365 days. We got her off all medication. She started flying again to visit family and things like that, right? And that was probably 5 years ago. And 2 years ago, I get a text from her and it says, I need to work with you again. And I said, awesome, you know, what's going on? And she goes, there's a guy that I've gone out to lunch with a couple times that I might date, and I have to talk to you about holding hands and kissing and all these things that I never thought I would ever do again. I think I'm ready to go there. Like, so in the world, and being very serious for a second, when women go through rape, there are many times they don't come out of it in regards to relationships for logical reasons. And if they do this intense work with attitude that we're discussing in here today, they can come out of it. But it's a lot of freaking work. It's a lot. Lama Surya Das says going through that was the thing that turned his life. Let me go back to Scarlett Lewis. Scarlett Lewis, 8 months after the death of her son Jesse, comes on my radio show, and the very first thing I asked her, and we rarely ever scripted anything. We did radio for so long, we would just fly with it. And I said to her, I go, Scarlett, I've got to ask you a question. How are you even here on this show? I don't know if I lost my 6-year-old son 8 months later, I could be out here. And she said, I'm here for one reason, David. Adam Lanza may have taken my son Jesse's life, but he's not taking the rest of mine, and he's not taking the rest of my other son JT's. So I'm here to help this world heal. And my work now is about teaching forgiveness. And the next time I interviewed her, which was 1 year and 8 months after Jesse's death, I said, how far along are you in removing the rage and hurt about Adam Lanza? And she said, I'm about 95% there. And every time it comes up, I write about it. And it's less and less and less. She goes into prison. So she goes everywhere, but she'll go into prison and talk to the murderers. And she'll stand up there and say, I just want you to know that you can forgive yourself for killing someone. This is a mom whose son was killed. Is that attitude just unfreaking believable? You know, like when I'm here today, standing and talking to you, I am not going to minimize any of your pain. I never would. All I'm going to say is whatever is blocking you, we can overcome. to have that attitude of perseverance and joy again. If it's shame, if it's rage, if it's resentment, it doesn't matter. If you want to do the work, you can heal, but if time heals nothing, please write this down. Time heals nothing. It heals nothing. It heals nothing. Number 2, knowledge is not power. Another bunch of crap. Knowledge is not power at all. Time doesn't heal a damn thing. You know, I'll work with people that are divorced 30 years and they'll talk about their husband leaving them for a younger woman and they're still pissed off and it's 30 years later. And I always say to them, if time is going to heal, you would be Jesus Christ right now. or Mother Christ or Mother Mary or someone, right? Seriously, if that's all it took was time, time doesn't do squat. Time is inert. Time doesn't care. Can I get a yes?
Yes.
Time doesn't care. It doesn't care. I care that we use our time appropriately to get back in the game of life, right? To come back to joy and happiness and service. And that doesn't mean you're not going to flip back to anger and rage and resentment from time to time. But if you keep doing the work, that stuff won't build up to the highest degree that maybe it has right now. Does anyone have a person that's holding you back? Yes, talk to me.
My husband.
Your husband. Why are we still with him? No, I'm just teasing.
No, please don't even go there. Actually, I've started realizing when he gets up every day and he says, today's going to be a good day, and it lasts about 4 minutes, that's when I have to just say, okay, today's going to be a great day for me because I'm going to do what I do, you're going to do what you do. Because in my opinion, he's going to start out doing that, and I'm going to end up absorbing whatever he's doing and all that. I had no idea. 13 years we've been married.
Okay.
I just came to this epiphany that this is what I've been living with for 13 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like that at all.
Yeah.
And I thought I was the most positive person. I can overcome everything, all the, fascinating.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Now, you can overcome everything, but it's not going to be through positivity.
No.
Right?
I found that out as well.
You know.
And here's the other thing, though. I have been journaling all my life. I think the first time I ever journaled was when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always written about the challenges. And what I couldn't understand was how come if I thought I got to a point where I had gotten through this challenge, whatever it was, whatever age I was, how come that thing kept coming back? And how come every time I would journal, it was even better to deal with it, fine, but then it would come back again. And then it would come back. And so someone told me it's like layers of an onion. And I said, oh yes, but I cannot seem to get to the center of it. It's just constant layers. So I cleared all that part and figured out, but then I realized this was the underlying thing, like right under the carpet, that's been there the whole time.
Yes.
No matter what, through all the things. Fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's amazing. And so let's talk about it. We only have a few minutes left. Let me talk about a couple of things. Number one, if even with your husband or with a wife or with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever it might be, another person cannot be an excuse for a poor attitude. Just like being raised, Nick Vujicic proves that being raised with no arms and legs is not a good enough reason to not have a good attitude. Correct?
I actually write how I feel about him, not him.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. What we need to do, if you're surrounded by people that you feel are having a negative piece of your attitude, we have a couple options. Number one, we can talk to them. And we can set boundaries and consequences. To talk to someone and say, hey, you know what, if you don't pick up your attitude, we're not going to be able to make it. That doesn't mean anything. That's called nagging. Nagging doesn't work. If you're serious and you have a good friend, a partner, and they are really, you believe that their actions, their intimidations, their whatever it is negatively affecting your attitude, it is up to us to choose to spend time to stay with someone or not, to give a boundary and a consequence that our relationship is really struggling, and I would like to try to turn it around. So I'm going to ask you to join me for 90 straight days of counseling. At the end of 90 days, let's see if we can turn this around and save the relationship. If we can't, my recommendation is you sign a contract and you split for 90 days, and you live in separate residences, and you stay monogamous, and you still see each other often during the week, but you're working on your issues. if at the end of 90 days of counseling, the end of 90 days of separation, does not give you a different relationship, then you're going to have to make a decision. Same thing with friends. You know, there's so many people that when I talk to and they have a bad attitude and they contact me and they say, oh, I don't know where my attitude is. I say to them, and we do this all the time, here's an exercise. Write down a list of everyone you're regularly in contact with. Write this down, please. You're going to do this as homework. Write down a list of everyone that you're in contact regularly with. That means at least every 2 weeks. Okay, that's regular. Every 2 weeks. It could be texting, emails, phone call. I don't think anyone talks on the phone anymore, but so probably no one in here would say that we talk. Most of us either text or email. I think.
No.
But oh, do you really talk on the phone?
I was on the phone with my brother for 3 hours.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
No, because I was alone, and he was alone, and he's in New York. I'm here, and I actually made me feel better.
Of course it does. I'm totally teasing. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Now, what we want to do is when we look at that list, we want to write next to that, are they uplifting or not? If they're uplifting, well, there's no decision to make. Okay, lovebirds. I heard that smooch from over here. Right? If they're uplifting, you stay. If you look at the list, and oftentimes we'll see people with 75% in their inner circle that are not uplifting, not positive, that are victims, that are complainers, that are conspiracy theorists, we selected them. We, us, right? Unless your mom and dad are still doing that kind of stuff, most of the time we select who we're around. This is another one of those come to Jesus with self.
And we have to deselect something.
And we have to deselect. Hell yeah. So you look in the mirror and you go, what are you doing? You.
Yeah, but what happens if they're your parents?
Oh. Okay, let me tell you you want to know my honest opinion?
But he's got dementia. I mean, I can't not.
Oh,
talk
well,
to
okay.
him.
Well, if you have dementia, that's totally different.